Well, I'll just go ahead and let you guys fire away with questions. I don't have anything to start off with, so I'll let y'all go. And we'll go from there.
Matt, as you guys have internal discussions week by week on how to utilize Justin in a given game, expand his role, what are the factors for you that are most significant in trying to figure out where he fits in a given week?
Yeah, I would say, Dan, probably the biggest thing is schematically. How do we want to use him? If we do, how is that, and when's the best place to do it? The nice thing about Justin is, you got somebody that is special with making throws too. I mean, so many times you see guys that come in and sometimes they're just running quarterbacks and that sort of thing. So he can become a weapon that way too, and allow him to grow each week in practice, but yet still try to find times when we feel like it can be advantageous to us to use him in certain roles. And we thought we did that last week where we were able to, he made a good play for the touchdown run, and we had some other plays in too that we didn't get to, but nothing. For us, I think he's going to continue to grow, and we just got to find spots.
Because as you mentioned, he does multiple things well. How much value does he have, I guess, as a chess piece within your game planning?
Yeah, I think he provides a lot of value now that we're here at this point and we're not in training camp and the guessing game or whatever. And inevitably, what it does is it makes when you have a guy like Justin, teams, when they see that, now they got to prepare in certain ways for certain things they may think of or not think of. So it just can help us that way too.
And I know the Saints have done this, the last couple of years. Lamar did it as a rookie for a little bit. But in general, why don't more teams do this in the NFL? I know in college it's a little more common to,
Right.
Kind of get the new guy's feet wet and also provide something else for the opponent to worry about.
Right. It might be specific to that type of quarterback. You got Taysom Hill in with the Saints, and you had Lamar coming up as a rookie and him trying to grow as well into being a complete quarterback, which he's done a great job of, obviously. So I think it's probably player and team, how you do it, and then where they're at too, like how ready are they, and to be able to be put in that situation. So all of them are a little bit different, but it does create an advantage. But you also have to be careful with the rhythm of not just the guy like Andy's breaking his rhythm, but also a guy like Justin making sure that it can help him too.
At what point did you come to the decision that this role was going to be right for him, that you were going to go forward with this?
It's all been a part of the plan, and I think that's where, again, this isn't, rush emotional decisions that happen a week before the game. This stuff has been talked about and known for a little while now, and obviously we're not going to get into a whole lot of schematics in training camp and in the off season, but when you have a plan, you kind of know where you're at, and it doesn't mean it's always going to work that way, but what it does mean is that it at least gives you a blueprint to start with, and I think that's where we feel comfortable with it.
Matt, talking to you and Sean and players, everybody seems to have settled on the defensive issues where some mental mistakes and things that can be fixed. But Alec Ogletree mentioned that he also felt that maybe there was a lack of energy, that he didn't sense it. And since he's new to it, it was kind of interesting coming from him, and it's hard to grasp in that situation how there could be. So how do you read that? How do you make sure that they're at that fine-tuned mental edge that they have to be? Yeah,
a lot of times in all three phases, when you're making big plays, that's where you get that energy. It's created through the play on the field. And, when on defense we had they had some explosives, and that can take away from your energy, but you got to find it then. You got to get it back by making big plays. And then we can help it too on offense by making big plays to where you kind of feel the juice on the sideline and there is that energy. And so I felt like in that game we were just kind of playing catch up the whole game. So where you have a lead and you have the energy and you're rolling and you feel it, you're tired, but you have the energy. We were just trying to catch up the whole game. And then we never called up. And that's probably where you felt a little bit of that. It wasn't anything for, at least what I felt on the sideline, because guys didn't care or anything like that. It was more so just the flow of the game, how it went, and there was just not a lot of explosives.
Just to follow up quick on that, because I know you mentioned how much they care a lot, and I'm sure they do, not challenging that. But beyond caring, isn't it still about, playing at 101% with your hair on fire and that kind of thing?
Sure, absolutely. And sometimes, we have internal meetings and discussions as a team on these type of situations, and I think how you handle it is what's most important. In a lot of these scenarios, you can see teams, players, coaches that end up, pointing fingers and and it can get dirty, it can get ugly, and we have not done that this whole time, and that I respect. And then what makes it pretty cool is that the next time that this happens, we'll probably all be sitting here talking about what a great job that they did from preventing him from running in for a touchdown, and probably for probably really the rest of their career that'll happen. So that one play, as much as it impacted us for this one game, it's going to impact these players for their whole career. That's where I look at the glass half full, and that's where we want to stay positive with them. And sometimes it's not easy to do that because we're all frustrated, we all get angry, but we're all not perfect. So that's where I think we all got to step back and say, okay, how do we learn from this?
Coach, are you a little more encouraged with Eddie Goldman and Jason Peters after what they were able to do at practice?
Yeah, I am. I think Jeff, that they're in a good place. We'll continue to monitor them day by day, but I would say, as I've used before, arrow up for them. I feel good about them, and we just got to see each day how they go. But they've been doing good.
Obviously not a good day for you Sunday, but you look around the division, do you kind of look at it and say, hey, we kind of dodged the bullet here? Do
Yeah.
you tell the team kind of, we can kind of just scrap that one, reset, and move on?
Well, yeah, we for us, we were just focusing on us, and when you look at it, you see the other teams that all lost. You see some divisions that they all won, and then you have our division and we all lost. So in the end, we do know this, that, winning a division, you're going to be sitting in a good place, no matter what your record is. And we saw that last year with some of the teams in the NFL. So that is important, but we got to control, this week and stating the obvious coach talk. That's real. Like we're worrying about today's practice, and then let's get week 2 and see how that goes here at home in front of our fans.
They provide just a bit of an exhale, because we could have came.
No, because it's too early. Because if we went 1-0 and they all went 0-1, we wouldn't feel that way either. It's the same thought.
And Matt, sometimes you reach a game in the schedule where you say, okay, this is kind of a swing game here. If we win this game, the season goes one way. If we lose, it might go the other way. I know it's very early. Is it too early to say that about?
It's too early. I think so. You go back and you think about the other years since I've been here, and there are probably times throughout the season where that happens, but there's also times. I mean, you could have looked at last year when we went 5-1, and you could say, hey, things are going pretty good, and then they ended up not being good, and there's other teams where they start out slow, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it's a big play, it's a big game like you're talking about, you just start clicking, and now you catch fire. So I would feel like it's early right now, but at the same point in time, we want to, the week is a lot different when you come to work and you win. It just feels different. So we want to make sure we get back to that W side.
Matt, yesterday.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yesterday, Bill Lazor was in here, and he said that he has felt since preseason that Justin is ready for anything, and nothing's too big for him. How do you balance that with the plan?
Yeah.
And not rushing that just because he is able to handle it?
Sure.
Nothing has seemed too
Well, that's real. I mean, Justin he's done a really good job at advancing in his knowledge of this offense, better than I thought, which is good. Last week he had a great week of practice, which is great because he's working on not just his footwork and his mechanics and his fundamentals, but he's also working on the mental side of knowing that he's going out there to try to rip people's hearts out, in practice and be great and make our defense better by being a great quarterback. So, I mean, you go back and you say, well, you hope that's the case, because if that is, then you feel good as to why you went to draft him, right, and why you did that, rather than the other side where it's a struggle and it doesn't feel right. This one right now, the way it's going, he's done a great job, and we feel good about being able to move up to get him for sure.
Matt, with Sean, you talked during training camp about how much you liked the energy that he brought and the energy that the guys had around him. When you see a defense be flat in that game, how does that energy not translate? And I know circumstances, I know you're playing behind that sort of thing, but did you think that would transfer differently to Sundays?
No, I didn't, because Sean's not a huge rah-rah guy. Actually, Sean's probably biggest strength is when stuff like this happens, he handles it well. There's no panic. He's very calm. He doesn't get too excited. And some could say, well, shouldn't you be panicked if you come out here and you have a defense like that happens? No, and I think that's where we all learn, because I have a lot of belief in him. The players do, and you get more opportunities. So I think that he's done a great job leading these guys. I know what they think of him and what they believe in our staff, and vice versa with them. So again, we gotta go out there and make it happen. We can't just say we got to be better, but where you do that is in practice. You see why, you practice it. And then if you're not practicing hard, Sean, he'll pull you. And same on offense. Come out and come back in when you're ready. But the guys have been great, and they're looking forward to the second week.
How much of that is maybe the players leading themselves, especially on defense where you have big names like Khalil when he doesn't have a quarterback hit? I mean, how much is that on the players actually going out and doing it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big part of it. You look back at the championship teams at any level. I told you guys we had Udonis Haslem in here to talk to the team. I told you that. And one of the biggest points that I took from him was how impactful it is to a team and an organization when the players, are doing that. And it means a lot more than when a coach is doing that. And so we have guys that have done that. And now when you get to a game like that, not just as a defense, but as an offense too, right? All of us, we got to be able to everybody pull together. And I think that's the beauty of when you have guys that care. It's a lot easier to do that. When you get guys that are just mercenaries and they don't care about what's going on, it gets a lot harder as a coach and as teammates to reel that in. We don't have that, and that's what makes it so much easier when you don't perform like you want to.
Yeah, during the pre-draft process, did you do much work on Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I did a decent amount, probably not as much as if we would have had a higher pick. Yeah.
Early impressions of what his skill set is, and then also obviously he's as a rookie in a situation where he already has the trust of a quarterback, which has got to be rare. And
huge. Yeah, I mean, super talented and just a playmaker that really, when you look at it, what he has is he's got it all. He's so well-rounded, and to come out here his first game and have this connection with Joe Burrow, and the sky's the limit for him. I mean, that was one of the guys that you heard in the draft from not just people in our organization, but throughout. Like that's a really solid pick that's going to make plays for you for a long time. So you see what he did last week, and he had that nice catch, and I mean he's a weapon. And as a rookie, to have his first game and come in and do what he does, he's special.
What are your impressions? Sean mentioned yesterday the continuing competition between Marquis Christian and Duke Shelley. Is that nickel spot up for grabs, or are you sticking with Marquis this year?
They're working through all that. They're competing, in practice, and those guys will be able to. I think it's for them. They understand. Both those guys understand that. They know that, and now we'll just continue to work through that and see where it goes this week.
Matt, with Justin's plays, I'm just trying to understand the purpose that you see in that. Do you see it more as a strategic weapon within the game, or something that is for his individual development long term?
Yeah, it would be in that instance more of strategic for the game, but at the same time, you want to make sure you want to try to help him too by getting some of those snaps, but that's where I think, Jason, you got to be to a point where you got to be careful with the success or failure that you have with those plays, because if you put them in and it's one play, depending on how it goes, you don't want multiple plays of it not being good, because then that can mess with the mentality of it. If you have positive plays, right, and you have a touchdown run like he had, and it helps the team, then those are good, because they're building blocks for him to get under the lights, which we've all talked about. He's played on big stages for sure in Ohio State and across, in his career. But it is different when you're in the NFL, and so you get a little bit of that, and you take those first snaps. It helps you out. So I think there's growth for him on the side with it, but I also think it certainly helps out our offense.
Do you view it as a progression toward, increasing toward him eventually being your starting quarterback at some point, or is it really predicated on how well it works?
Yeah, it's probably, again, not to be great, but honestly, it's a little bit of both. So when I say that, yeah, of course, we know he's the future of this team. We understand that. So those are check marks that are helping him. Every snap that he gets, it helps him for the future. Then being on the sideline, those are going to help him. But we can help him also with practice and with what he's doing there and the game weeks each week. I think each week he's going to get better and better in a lot of different things. And so that part, yes. And then for the scheme and for the team, we just got to see how it goes, how it works, and then how defenses are reacting to it. Like, what's their plan to it? And then we got to have a counter to it.
He talked about the other night. He talked about wanting to torch your defense on scout team. When you hear, I mean, have you seen kind of that competitiveness in practice? And how has he looked?
I have, and he's Pat, he's done a really good job in scout team, the look team, all last week, and even the week before that we had. He's making some of those special throws, and it doesn't mean he's always torching our defense. There might be one where he drops back and has to scramble, and it would have been a sack, but he's finishing the play and then makes a good throw. There's others where he is making really good throws. So those are the ones that when we all talk about the growth of Justin and where he's at, and if it's not on game day, then are we being able to see him grow in practice with those type of throws? And he's doing that right now. That's a positive. We like that. We want more of that. And they're not just, they're really good throws. So that's on him to make sure that he continues to do that so that he can grow. But he also stays within what Sean's looking for from the second team quarterback, from the look team. So it's all positive right now, and that's great.
What are your impressions of Joe Burrow in the game last Sunday?
Well,
how do you prepare for somebody like him?
He's I have a lot of respect for him. I watched him in college, and everyone talks about how cool he is, and just back there, and you see that. I mean, he's just so natural. He's a leader. He's a great teammate, but yet he makes those special throws, and he's sneaky. He can move too, if he has to. So he's grown. I really like him a lot, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I think that they're going to be in great hands with him for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.